Oh, for crying out loud, I'm falling back into my old habits of not clearing the memory. I made all those videos and I uploaded them last night to YouTube. So all this week and next week are full-ish. And I forgot to clear about like making this one. So now I did that. So hopefully I can ramble on. So anyway, back to this one. So now I don't have to worry about these panels sliding up and down here because they are the closet at the top and at the bottom. So there's no room for them to slide. So they're always going to be in exactly the same spot every single time. So that fixes that deficiency. The lid closes. That fixes that deficiency. That goes up to the top on an angle so you can get access to the little bin inside there. I like this better. This thing's a lot more rigid. The one thing about this is that I found that this piece just kind of keeps on coming off especially when you keep on connecting and disconnecting it. Again, I'm not gonna fault them. It's a wonderful set. So it is what it is. So anyway, I did all that, and the robot still fits inside. That closes, and then ta-da, all done. And then you put it onto the back here. You put this in the back there, and then you have yourself a almost virtually the same Invader by the looks of it. When you look at it, it's heavier. I'm gonna say that it is heavier now than this one. Whether or not that's good or bad, who knows? This one is heavier. So because it's got a lot more brick in here because I had to make these octagons. But this is a nice one, and this is a nice one. So I can't complain at all. I'm gonna keep the original because again I have 2 copies, so I get to keep the original as it is. And I'm gonna close that. And but I'm going to keep on focusing on here. I'm not necessarily sold on the back end, although it's not too bad, it's not too shabby. But I'm also going to think about some other stuff that I want to do. But in the end, I'm going to clean up the mess of bricks that are right here that I took. I mean, all these things are going to be rolled into the collection because I'm not going to keep these pieces separate from the Invader, the original pieces that were in this Invader that I replaced with my pieces. But I may, as I mentioned before, I may put the original connector pieces back in because I find the friction pegs are not liking the weight of this thing. Like the originals were really light. The OG Blacktron, they were a lot lighter than all these big, huge brick built pieces. So I may do that, but in the end, I like saying that. In the end, this one's good, and this one's good. So I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I got an Invader to work very, very well with the Renegade, and you can mix and match pieces. That made me happy. I do have my pontifications as to why they built the Invader the way they did and why they built the Renegade the way they did. I think the designers now wanted to make an homage to the original without making a complete identical to the original. So the stuff they left out, they believed was right to leave out. The Renegade doesn't have a storage container that holds the vehicle. They got rid of that completely. They just have a vehicle that clicks in here, and I think that's brilliant. I really do think that the holder of the vehicle was a brilliant, because I was building it. I mentioned that when I was building it, I'm going, what are all these pieces for? What's it going to do? So, and when I finished building it, I said, oh, that is like the coolest thing ever, the drop vehicle from the center. And so you don't have to have the storage container because it still picks up the vehicle and it drops the vehicle as is. As I say, for me, the biggest deficiency is the fact that the body of the ship doesn't have the asymmetrical to it. They made the asymmetrical by extending the cockpit. The cockpit on the original one, this cockpit here on the original Renegade, is smaller than the Batrax cockpit and is smaller than the Invader cockpit for length. And it was this thing here. The difference, let's take this piece off. This asymmetry was in the body of the main spaceship, the asymmetry here. And they did not bring that into this new one. They faked the asymmetry by making the cockpit a lot longer, and that's fine. This thing is just let me fix that. I'm going back to bed. There we go. I will say, and this thing's popping off. I had to pop it off her. I built a Renegade just because I wanted to. That swapped this side with this side, so this side was longer and that side was the short one, just so you could have the asymmetry mirrored across two Blacktron's. This is still one of those coveted sets. I mean, you just go on Bricklink and see how expensive a Renegade is. And honestly, I mentioned this before, these cones, they're very rare. These tiles, the 2x2 tiles, very, very rare. And these guys here and here, very rare. So there are 6 pieces in here that are very, very rare. I believe they are either quote unquote unique to this set, or they were in a set and there were one other set that nobody ever bought. So I happen to love it. I remember buying mine off the store shelf and being excited to build it. I did buy the Invader first, and then I bought the Bad Tracks, and I bought this one last. I think it's 6940. I bought this one last, and I was not disappointed by any of them. I know my friend Dave, I believe he says that Bad Tracks is the best one out of the lot. For me, it's this one. This is my favorite Blacktron set, period. And again, I love the rest of them. It's like when I get into discussions with my friends about DS9, because they say DS9 is their favorite Star Trek show. It's my least favorite Star Trek show. It really is my least favorite, but I still love it. Anything in Star Trek, I absolutely adore. DS9 for me is my least favorite, but I still seen every episode multiple times, and I love it. But out of all my appreciations, whatever, don't have to dwell on that because I go off on far too many tangents as it is. Yeah, so I think for now this is done. I think I do not have anything outstanding in my head about this guy. I was thinking about fixing the back up a little tiny bit because it doesn't look as neat as the original here does. Not as slipstreamed, but again, it does have a nice flow from front to back and down the back. So I don't mind these 2 studs being up here. These 2 studs here, they kind of annoy me a little bit. Right there, those 2 studs. But in the end, it's fine. And again, it does exactly what the original one did too. So I can't complain about that. That's it. That's all. I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to clean up more Lego room. I do have lots to clean up. It's been a little punchy down here, and I have something else I want to build, basically from scratch, not modifying an existing thing. Let me just put that back there so you can see the whole thing. Yay! Oh, let's go farther back. There you go. I think you can see now. There we go. And whatever. So I have other ruminations, other ideas in my head that might have something to do with this. Look how dusty that is. And this guy, and this guy, and then so I'm gonna be working on that when I have time. So that's it. That's all. Everybody out there, stay safe, take care. Hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, that's it. Talk to you soon.